Hi everyone, this video is about the new moon in Sagittarius. Today, and the effect of this new moon is going to last until the next lunation, which will be on the 3rd of January. So for the next 2 weeks. So now this new moon is at 28th of Sagittarius, and then I have called this How to Believe in a Shattered Dream. Because first of all, we see that there is a stellium here in Sagittarius. There's 4 planets, Mercury, Venus, and because it's a new moon, the moon and the sun are conjunct. Also in Sagittarius. And we see that this stellium of planets here in Sagittarius is there. They all are squaring the Saturn and Neptune conjunction in Pisces. So that's the first thing that we see. And also Venus here at 24. She just quincunxed with Jupiter in Cancer, and Venus will soon is now applying another quincunx to Uranus in Taurus. And plus we see that the new moon also is like now quincunxing Uranus. Also, this new moon has a Venus conjunction, and there's Mars also at 3 of Capricorn. That is the sun and the moon. They are soon going to go and conjunct, touch Mars. So this means that for this new moon there is like a relationship topic. So the relationships are the focus of this new moon. And also we can see that this is not really fun, a stellium, of planets that are clashing with Saturn. And then when we add Venus, Jupiter, and Uranus, and the fact that there has been two quincunx between them, so Venus to Jupiter, now Venus is going to Uranus, and Uranus to this new moon. So it seems like just before this new moon, an opportunity, an offer, or a gift, something surprising, shocking, or unexpected came to us via someone else, or it was an idea in our mind. But whatever came, it somehow feels irritating or uncomfortable, even if it's exciting, because of the Uranus factor. We are now left wondering, is our vision for the future a dream or a nightmare? Yeah, and then I said that this whatever it is, offer opportunity, it's already happened because Venus has already quincunxed with Jupiter. And yeah, so when an aspect is separating, when an aspect already happened, you can think of it like a baked potato. It means that it's already done, it's cooked. So the event already happened in the day upcoming to this new moon, basically. And also, first of all, it's worth noting again that this new moon is at 28th of Sag. And this is where it's near the galactic center, which is in Sagittarius. Also, I think about 27 degrees. Yeah, and then also, yeah, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, who is now in Cancer. and this is about studying a lot to seek truth, to understand different perspectives. And also, the sign of Sagittarius can be dogmatic and a know-it-all. In the Sagittarius, the opposite Gemini axis, we have to be aware of the fact that there is a difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is when you learn religious books by heart, or your memory retains books information. But wisdom is much more profound, because wisdom is understanding through lived experiences or intuition and your emotional body. So that's the difference between knowledge and wisdom, which is important to know about Sagittarius. And like I said, the galactic center uh, is at 2713 degrees of Sagittarius. And the galactic center is about intuiting truth. Plus, Venus here is at 24. Venus is also conjunct another fixed star that, if you see here in my fixed star map, Venus is applying to this fixed star called Lesat, however you want to pronunciate it, Lesath. Yeah, so that's very close. And so this fixed star is at 2413 and Venus is at 2412. That's why I'm saying it. And Venus is ruling Uranus. Uranus that is now in Taurus at 28. Uranus, which also has to do with sudden knowing, like a lightning flash information that comes to your awareness out of nowhere. So back here to Venus and this Lesat fixed star. This fixed star nature is similar to a sting of bite of the scorpion. The sting of the scorpion. This fixed star gives inquisitive, incisive wit, sharp intellect, and it is as damaging as a knife to its opponent. So why I'm saying this is because, again, we can see that at this new moon, there is a theme of an uncomfortable truth, known or intuited, delivered by a woman, because of a woman, or by a woman. So it could be linked to money and what we value, Venus topics, and also our self-worth and our assets. With Uranus in the mix, we can now hear the phrase, the truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off. Yes, so the truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off. Indeed. To know more about the galactic center, you can check out an astrologer called Philip Sedgwick. Sedgwick. Sorry if my French accent doesn't pronounce it well. I will write it on the screen. And the galactic center is about truth, and the new moon is a new beginning. So now we have a new wave of knowledge that is being received by our consciousness. Also, we are going to start something without much clarity, because this new moon is here, and then it is squaring with Neptune, fogginess and confusion. So we are going to start something without much clarity and without much stability because of the inconjunct to Uranus, the planet, of anything could happen, anything could change suddenly. And often it's with Uranus is something, the last thing that you thought was gonna happen, that will happen. So nonetheless, we can rely on our intuition to know what the right thing to do is because of the 28 late degree near this galactic center. Now we can rely on our intuition more than usual. And also a late degree means that we have to complete something in the Sagittarius house of our chart. And a late degree in Sagittarius also can mean that we are going to jump into something because it's a mutable sign. Something is about to shift. I'm thinking to show you quickly so you know what I'm talking about. The galactic center, you see here the arrow is blue and it says Gal 2713. So you see it's next to this new moon at 28. Gal means the galactic center. Where is it? Here, galactic center, right? And then this other fixed star next to Venus, less at 24, 23. So you see how it's close to it. And then if you see here, less at, okay, so this is what I'm talking about, right? So this is the new moon here again in Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter, who is now here in Cancer. Jupiter is still strong and highly dignified in Cancer. So Jupiter is assisting us with optimism and opportunities of abundance to be found in traveling mentally through knowledge and truth seeking, or by going on physical journeys like traveling to foreign lands. Therefore, we can say this is a truth new moon. So much truth is going to come out from now until January, until about the 3rd of January when we're going to have the next lunation, which is going to be a full moon in Cancer. Is it? Yeah, in Cancer. So, as always, when truths come out, expect some to be uncomfortable ones. So much that some people would have preferred to stay into the bliss of not knowing about it. Thanks to Jupiter, who is preventing some situations from breaking. Jupiter is doing a lot of saving and helping in the background by offering at least one blessing to learn about spiritual and metaphysical things in order to overcome blockages. Blockages that prevent us from seeing more and experience more of all there is to know. In Cancer, there is a chance to heal our heart, to care for our emotions. Yeah, and then back to Venus, who is quite important now for many reasons because she's applying a conjunction. She's going into this new moon. And Venus is, you can see, at 24 and Saturn is at 25. Like more or less, Venus is a squaring Saturn now at this new moon. Yeah. 1, 2, 4. So yeah, it's very nearly exact. Venus is squaring Saturn, and then Venus will square Neptune. So what does this mean? Venus is our wish to blend our desires with someone else, to be in relationship, and sometimes we even compromise our own needs to be in a relationship. The other thing about Venus is that now she's invisible. She's gone into the underworld until February of 2026. Venus square to Saturn, and we still have the South Node in Virgo and the North Node in Pisces. So this square and this Virgo-Pisces axis, this this can be a sadistic and masochist pattern in some relationships that is highlighted. This is often unconscious if someone is an emotional sadomasochist, for example. At times they would inflict pain, Saturn is pain, and at other times they would be receiving it. And without realizing it, such people could enjoy it. As a result of childhood abuse or trauma, they would associate pain, intensity, and suffering as emotional bonding and closeness with another. So I'm saying this because Venus to Saturn is pain or a reality check, and then the square to Neptune, the delusion, the need to believe in fantasy, to put some bandage on the previous want. Yeah, to put some bandage on the previous wound that Saturn inflicted onto Venus. So you see, it's going to be like Venus to Saturn, something, something more like somber, like serious, Even if it's not painful, it's still, like I said, like a reality check. But then with Neptune, we might think, uh, gloss over things and think, oh, now things are better, but are we like delusional, delusional to make ourselves feel better? Because it's a square also, so highly likely when Neptune is onto a square to another planet, the lower, vibration of tune will be expressed, which is deception and lies and all this, because at the end, some astrologers, say that, and even I observe that you don't believe, but Neptune is actually one of the most malefic, because at least when Saturn does a hard transit to your planet, you know what's the deal. You see it; it's in your flag. You know what I mean? It's concrete. But Neptune is just so hard to grasp and to put your hand on it. You just never know. You just never sure. And then when you are sure, when you realize that you were fooled, then it's with Neptune. It's always too late. Like the damage was always already done. There's nothing else to do. So yeah, what I'm saying now is that, yeah, that Saturn inflicting pain onto Venus, and then we might put some bandage afterwards with Neptune. However, it's worth noting that these squares to Venus aren't too harsh because it's in mutable sign. Sagittarius and Pisces, mutable signs, which are flexible and adaptable signs. So they are willing to change. plus all these three planets involved, Venus, Saturn, and Neptune, they are all ruled by the same planet, Jupiter. Here in Cancer, who we know is exalted, therefore that means that Jupiter is willing to get the best out of this conflict, that there is a conflict between Venus, this new moon, this stellium in Sagittarius, and Saturn and Neptune. And so we can hope for Jupiter to lift up this situation and for a good outcome in the end. So Venus square Saturn, this also represents relationship karmic problems and blockages. What we believe and the knowledge we value, or our love of truth seeking, is clashing with and needs to be integrated with what we hope for. And with what we hope to make real, and the ideal we worked for in order to fulfill our spiritual inspiration. But was it an escape dream, an unrealistic vision? And now this new moon in Sagittarius is bringing new information, or a teacher that challenges our ideal, that brings us down to reality. And with Venus square Saturn and also Mars ready to go, who is already in Capricorn and is ready to go in this sign, it feels like we are ready to cut our losses and blaze forward with this new relationship or new burst of inspiring optimism. We want to make it real in the palpable, concrete world. Because Mars now in Capricorn, in a cardinal sign, is about initiation. And this new moon is at the age of a mutable sign, as if it's the last hesitation before we start climbing the mountain towards that long-awaited new beginning. According to Babylonian Heliacal astrology, Venus is now in the underworld. The go-to astrologer to know about Babylonian Heliacal astrology is called Rumen Kolev. And I'm just saying the basic, but if you want to know more about this, Venus is the astrologer to check out. But in a nutshell, Venus is now descending into the underworld while she will still connect with other planets. So this is a testimony of our own journey away from the way things used to be. And it is a transition phase from now to February, when Venus will reappear as visible in the sky. And soon after, she will conjunct the North Node in Pisces. So Venus is gone and visible in Sagittarius. I think it was at 9. And then she will return she'll be in the about 21 or something like that of Aquarius. And then she will carry on and then conjunct the North Node in Pisces. Okay, so all this signifies a period of deep soul searching and toxicity of the ego that can be purged. Because yes, we need an ego to function in this world, but we also must find our true self behind the ego. Once Venus re-emerges, we have the chance to choose love and unity rather than the old ways of operating. which consists of seeking to make decisions depending on how much power over others will be gained. Now there is the opportunity to change that, to grow into becoming more inclusive, to see how most of human suffering is self-created by greed and a survival of the fittest. It's a cold-hearted mentality. So you can check out the myth of Inanna in the underworld. This is a call to find balance in relationships, to ourselves and to others. It's a time of self-reflection because the way that toxic habits dissolve is not through combating them, it is through clarity. With the South Node in Virgo and the North Node in Pisces, there is a tug of war between how things used to be in Virgo and where we are heading in Pisces. So we need to let loose our tendency to be critical and discriminate by nitpicking borders and having too strict boundaries. Like a practical mystic, we can assess where we have confused pain for love or cruelty for constructive criticism. Mercury is here at 10 over Sagittarius. And Mercury is ruling the South Node in Virgo. Mercury, very soon after this new moon, will square the South Node and the North Node. Mercury squares the node. Right, so, and Virgo can be about abuse. The questions are, where have we been too much of service? Where have we been too much of service? And where have we abused of someone servicing us? The South Node is pointing to an opportunity for this to be released or detached from us. And this is not the end times, but this is the end of a time. Evolution is emotional in Pisces. Evolution is emotional. We say and think a lot about how we want to change or how we want to let go of regrets and of our grudges. Yet it's when we emotionally feel differently about something that the change is truly done. And Mars in Capricorn, who is said to be exalted there, is now really determined to achieve its goal. So now it's a good time to achieve your goals assertively and independently, and to go after what you want and to get it. But with Mars in Capricorn, we have to watch not to be overly pushy, onto others. Like not to push too hard for what we want. Mars in Capricorn is going to go through this sign quite fast. The thing is that Mars Capricorn is opposite Cancer, and earlier this year Mars was retrograde in Cancer. So yeah, Mars will go through Capricorn quickly, and I said it would trigger what happened in Cancer earlier in the year, and then therefore I checked. Overall, that was the 7th of January, nearly, we can say, a year ago, 2025. We see that that's when Mars retrograded in Cancer, because before he wanted to Leo a little bit. But that's the day he went back into Cancer retrograding. That was the 7th of January. And then on the 17th of April, that's when it was direct in Cancer at 29 here. So yeah, 1st of January 2025, it was at 29 in Cancer retrograde. And then back later on in April, now it was direct. So if you can think in your life, that span of time, what was the main, in the Cancer area of your chart? I would say what was the main irritation, because that was quite irritating. So, and I have Mars in Cancer, so I remember this very well. And then for me, I can see clearly this theme now, because Mars is, I'm showing you this because now Mars is opposite that sign of Cancer where it was retrograde from the January 2025 to April 2025. So that theme that was back, that we were dealing with at that time, is now coming back now for this span of time when Mars is in Cancer. So all this is going to be triggered again. We're going to have to deal with that situation again, but this time is going to be more constructive, you know, because Mars is at fall in Cancer and now is exalted. So, the action, we can take better action now. In any case, I have Mars in Cancer and I already can see how I'm dealing with the same topic, and I can see how this time I'm going to solve this situation once and for all. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but yeah, now it's resolving. So that's good. Now a lot of things are resolving. Coincidentally, it's all synchronicity. Happen. Everything is closing at the same time, because we know about the Saturn Neptune that's closing as well. Thank God. So we will get there in February. Yeah. So yeah, if like myself, you have any planet, point or angle, ascendant, midheaven, moon, sun, anything in Cancer or even Capricorn, then beware of a potential burst of anger, and think back in February to June and see what's the February to June. I mean, think back from January to April 2025 and see what's the connection between now and then, and what happened then, and what's about to happen now in the next month or so. Mars is ruled by Saturn, who is loosely still trining Jupiter. So that's worth taking note. The trine with Jupiter now, it's waning. It's on its last leg. And Mars, I said, is exalted in Capricorn. Right. Uh, the other side of a planet in exaltation is that as above, so below. Meaning that when someone is lifting up too high or is idolized. For example, like if you put someone onto a pedestal, then it's inevitable that it will eventually come down. This makes me think a bit like the fixed star Regulus. And have a look for yourself, because what I have observed from my transit and my progressions is when Regulus is activated. Let's say if my progress moon is going to conjunct Regulus, things like that, or if, you know what I mean? I have noticed that with Regulus fixed star, you get a boost of self-confidence, even arrogance. Your ego will get pumped up out of proportion, and then a downfall and an humiliation will follow. So an exalted planet get basically an over-the-top boost, but sometimes it's like full of air. Like it won't last the distance. So when the planet, especially in transit, it's exalted, so take advantage of it now while it's exalted. Like you can get a boost. Like if you play a video game and then suddenly you get a bonus and then you just start running faster. Something like that. But then it would wane. So yeah, because there are no angel on this earth, we all have a dark side, and the most dangerous amongst us are those who are unaware of their own tendencies. So I was talking about Mercury also, who is ruling the South Node in Virgo, which by the way, the node in Virgo and Pisces, they are already more than halfway through the sign. Time goes by quickly. So Mercury is in Sagittarius and there is in detriment because it is glossing over the details in Sagittarius. When normally Mercury is supposed to be analyzing the details, and now it's hard to get our grasp on all the details. That said, Mercury is out of shadow, which means that it is now past the degree at which it went retrograde. Then Mercury will move forward. Mercury will enter Capricorn on the 1st of January, I think. So, 1 second. Yeah, so I have checked. So you see here, Mercury is at 0. Is entered Capricorn. The date is the 1st of January 2026. So that's quite a sobering New Year's Day. There will be a stellium 4 planet in Capricorn, the most serious sign of the whole zodiac. So if anyone goes out on New Year's Eve and if you're hangover, it's going to really feel like a hangover. Probably best, yeah, to avoid it because it's going to be a harsh morning. I mean, yeah, so Mercury will be in Capricorn on the 1st of Capricorn, January, like we just checked. Back to now. This all means that we at least have some clarity. We will have some clarity. If now we are confused, we will have some clarity when January comes. We will be into a mindset to put our thought into some constructive long-term planning. That's the positive about Capricorn. However, for now, Mercury is still in Sagittarius, and it is letting too many details come out, or it's exaggerating the details. It's making mountains out of molehills. On the upside, we can now close this year with an optimistic thinking. That said, Mercury will also square Saturn because Mercury is at 10 and Saturn is at 25, and it's going to move forward, isn't it? And then sometimes in before January. And Mercury will square Saturn and then it will also square Neptune. Tick, tick. Mercury, it will square Neptune also. Okay, so what this means that our dream bubble will pop. There could be a disappointment and a sense of despair as the ideal story and the hopes we had in mind turn out untrue. And so now what are we going to do about it? Well, Mercury will meaning it will conjunct the Sun later on in January in Capricorn. And at that time, some information will come to light. Plus, there will be a stellium of many planets in the sign of Capricorn, bringing heavy seriousness and the occasion for realistic thinking and problem solving. So basically, I'm saying in January we will know what to do. For now, truths are coming out with this series of Casimis in Sagittarius, where all the planets are crossing over the Sun. And Mars has already done so because now it's in Capricorn. This new moon, plus Mars, Venus, and Mercury, all have or will now square Saturn, but also Neptune. The point is that Neptune has been in Pisces since 2011, and we are only 2 months away from Neptune leaving Pisces for good, and we will not see it happen again in our lifetime. So that means that the cosmos is asking us to reflect on what and who remains from our ways of being. And from the people we've met since 2011 and all that we have collected in the Pisces house of our chart. What remains and what was real, what is real, and what was an illusion and a delusion. Well, we will know what will last for the long run, and what is palpable once Mercury thinks clearly in Capricorn. And then Mercury will even get some new ideas once it enters Aquarius later on. So for now, are you looking at a fairy tale or at a nightmare? Probably for all of us, it's a mix of both that we are left with to start over. This new moon is quincunxing Uranus, and at that time, both the moon and Mars are out of bounds. So that means that it's going to be chaotic. So that's why I've added this declination table. You see where the moon is at 2814 and Mars is at 2412. And how you know it's out of bound. So this is that little explanation. Out of bound planets in astrology refer to planets that have a declination exceeding 2328. Now you see the moon is over 2328. It's at 28 and Mars is at 24. So anyhow, when a planet is out of bounds, it's indicating that it's going to act, into a unique, intensify, creative, and conventional ways. For example, the moon out of bound, I have it. So it's said to be uncontrollable, you just don't know what's going to happen next. It's very hard, to control. 2418, you see this moon. So yeah, so I was saying, so because we have this Uranus quincunx to this new moon, and we have on top of it this moon and this Mars that are out of bounds, all of this is acting chaotic, yet it's exciting, as now new belief, new awareness, and new truth are lifting the veil from our eyes about what has happened in the Pisces house of our chart for the last 15 years. Think in the Pisces house of your chart back 15 years ago and now. See what was real, what was an illusion. Have you seen it, or were you asleep? It might take a little while longer to know where this is going to land. Finally, we will see clearly who was real and who or what was deceiving us. Most likely, if something or someone deceived us, it's because we were letting it happen in order to feed our own self-delusions. To conclude, it is not written in stone, but it's never too late to choose love and create a world we want to see from this new moon onwards. So if you don't know what to do or when to do it, or if you wish for me to answer one of your questions about what your option to choose, or when and how something in your life is most likely to happen, or if you wonder when your problem will be solved, remember you can email me via the link in the description with your birth details, and then I can answer your question. I hope that you got something interesting out of this video. I hope that you are doing well, and thank you so much for listening and liking this video. And I'm grateful for you to have stayed until the end. I will be back next time. Take care and bye for now.